Welcome everyone, I hope you're having a very wonderful day, and welcome to my guide for Kangaroo for Emerald Coast. Before we begin, I want to quickly break down on how today's guide is going to work. So our first section will be covering their hotspots and locations, and then our second section will be covering weapon recommendations, where I'll recommend 5 of my favorite weapons to hunt these guys with, and then we'll end today's video with the animal profile, which will have a custom map, time zones, ammo chart, and more. Everything you need to make your hunting life 10 times easier. So let's get right into it by quickly going over some basic Kangaroo information. These guys are drinking between the times of 0 and 3, and they are class 4, so majority of the weapons will cover them. And also they reside in up to groups of 9, I believe. I've seen up to 9. They could probably go higher, but there is quite a few within a majority of these groups. And we're going to open up our map here, as I will just quickly explain where these guys like to reside. Now, some of the stuff, though, I will explain at the end, because I need my map for this section when it comes to talking about the Northern River section. But down here, it's pretty easy to talk about where these guys reside. There you go. They drink from all these little creeks here. And there's 4 lakes here at the very bottom of the map here. This one, and this one, and this one, and this one. Now these guys can drink from these, which I do consider them hotspots. However, I have this one marked down as not a hotspot, I do believe. I'll have to see at the end of today's video, but that one only has 1 zone and like 2 singles that I had there. But these other 3 lakes on the left hand side are very, very high in kangaroo populations. Now I do want to quickly go over that I did not have any at this one where I have 2 hotspots at heat marks, and then I did not have any at this lake here as well. Now I do believe they can go there, but I just do not have them marked. Now moving up north, I do want to talk about another hotspot section as we can zoom in here. I have about 4 drink zones within a very small span from this outpost right here, the Zoe's Cottage, and the Buckley's Respite back down here. We have one right here, and we should have another one here, and then we should have another one there. And then we have one at this lake. So I marked this as a hotspot because it just feels like they have a very small drink area right here. Because I went further up north, did not see anything, and I did not see anything up here in the bigger section. We do have feral pigs here that stop right there. So that's why I was like, oh, there's probably no more kangaroos. So right in this little lake section, we have quite a few there. Now over here, I'm not going to explain this, but they should have, maybe, I think it's right here. Yes, right here from the pass point of the bridge, and then up to the northern section where it starts to get to be croc territory. That's when it stops. So it should be right in here somewhere. Yep, right there. So it's just another very small point to have some kangaroo. I only had 2 zones here, so I didn't bother with it. I didn't mark it as a hotspot. And then down here is kind of weird, to be quite honest with you. They do not reside in the center section of this mangroves. They reside on the little far left side. So we have just 1 random zone here, and then we have 1 random zone right here as well. And then they can reside along this little stretch here, this straight stretch. We have, I think, about between 3 to 4. I should have marked this as a hotspot. It should be 3. Yep, we have 3 right there. So that pretty much does it for all the kangaroo locations. So let's go over here and talk about this hotspot. Now, this hotspot had something pretty crazy at it, and it will be featured in my next hunting video if we can spot them. We have a mythical, we have a level 6, we should have another mythical there, and there he is. Now, when I was doing the guide preparation and looking at all the lakes and stuff, I was very excited to see a level 9. At this current time, I do not know the trophy score, even though I just made the guide a little while ago. However, I'm going to keep it a mystery. I'm not going to go look it up. I would like to know whether he's a diamond or troll when I go to shoot him. So I'm very excited for that. And it will also be in my first episode or my first hunt for 2025. So I'm pretty excited. So I hope you guys stay tuned for that. But anyways, that pretty much does it for all the kangaroo hotspots and locations. I'm going to head back to the outpost, so I will see you guys there for the weapon recommendation section. Alrighty, folks, so here we are back at the outpost. Before we begin, I want to mention quickly 3 things. First things first is, I'm only going to be covering rifles, handguns, and shotguns. I'll not be covering bows, because I'm not a bow expert, so I'll leave that to the professionals. Secondly, these are just my personal preferences and opinions. I always say go out there and explore and see what suits you and what you enjoy playing with. And then lastly, I'll be mentioning the DLCs weapons come from in case you want to pick them up for yourself. So, let's get right into it with the Model 1894. This, in my opinion, is the best Roo rifle. You have 6 rounds in there. This thing is lever action. You can play some pretty decent follow-up shots, just like another rifle that I'll be mentioning in today's list. However, what makes this thing the best, in my opinion, is just the ridiculous penetration. I would recommend the 7mm, which is one of my favorite rifles in the game. However, I use this thing when hunting them, and let's go look at the round really quick for the 44. We go here to the hard cast bullet. It has 70 penetration. This thing is kind of ridiculous. You can shoot a roo in the butt cheek and it will pop out its mouth. You will overpen it, and honestly I like that because the roos, when they're resting or drinking, sit in some very weird positions in all honesty, and I just don't like dealing with it, and this gun just solves that problem. It's very, very fun to use, and you can find it in the Ambusher Pack DLC. Moving on to our second rifle of the day, right here, the Olsen Model 23-308. The 308 is very, very solid for hunting these guys. All honesty, you can either use the 308, the 303, or the 30-06. It just does the same thing, but I recommend using the 308. Just packs a little bit more oomph there. You know, the Olsen model, the bolt action version, is probably my favorite of the two 308s. In all honesty, I don't know why, if it is just because it's a bolt action, but I just feel like I use it a lot better and I enjoy it a lot more than the semi-auto variant, and you can find this bad boy in the Thehunter Power Pack DLC. Moving on to our final rifle of the day. Since I already mentioned the other 308, I'm obviously going to mention the semi-auto variant. This thing, even though I just said I don't prefer using it as much as the bolt action, it does the job well. It helps thin the kangaroo herds if you see multiple mythicals within the group or whatever, level 7s. It does it pretty well. It's pretty accurate, and I highly recommend using it, and you can find it in the Modern Rifle Pack DLC. Moving on to handguns, obviously everyone knows who watches my videos, you know what's about to be recommended. This animal is class 4, and the 4570 Jernberg Spear covers it perfectly, covering classes 4 through 9. It is the ultimate pistol in my opinion for Call of the Wild. You can put a rifle scope on it, and yes, it does have a single shot, but that rifle scope kind of just blows that single shot out of the water, considering you can get better distance, a zoom in distance with it. So I highly recommend using this thing, and you can find that in the High Caliber Weapon Pack DLC. Now, moving on to shotguns. Honestly, I'm going to be honest, brutally honest. I wasn't going to intend and recommend a shotgun, but I pretty much do for all my videos. And, you know, this is Emerald Coast. This is a very open map. Why would you want to use a shotgun? But if you do want to use a shotgun, I recommend the Norden 20 gauge Serviceman, or just the 20 gauge, the Norden 20 gauge. It's very, very fun. You could put some buckshot or slugs in there, put a pretty decent scope on it, and call it a day. It's got 3 rounds in there. It's semi-automatic, and it does the job pretty well. And obviously, I would recommend just picking this up because there's birds, quail, other stuff on this map. So I recommend just carrying this with you when you're out hunting. But for kangaroo hunting, honestly, I would just put it in the locker and leave it there. All these spots are just too open, but I just wanted to leave a shotgun recommendation just in case someone wanted to use it. But that pretty much does it for the weapon recommendation section, folks. I will see you guys over at the animal profile in just a moment. Alrighty folks, so here we are at the end of today's video. Before I let you guys go, I'm going to do a quick animal profile breakdown. So on the left hand side, we have all of our basic kangaroo information. We have our class, difficulty, silver, gold, and diamond threshold. We have our weight from least to greatest in kilograms and in pounds. We have our fur types covering common and very rare, which I do want to point out I have the number of variations listed. So gray has 2, brown has 2, and leucistic has 3, which is pretty cool. Moving on to the center map, we pretty much have already talked about that in the first section of today's video. Moving on top right hand corner, we have all of our time zones nice and organized for you there. And then below that, we have our ammo chart for those full integrity kills. Now, that pretty much does it for today's video, folks. If this guide does help you and you guys enjoyed today's video, please drop a like. It really helps out the channel a lot. With all the way, I hope you guys have a very wonderful day. Happy hunting, good luck, and I will see you guys in the next one.